Welcome to Yusuf Reacts. I am Aurora, and today, we're taking an in-depth look at the 2016 sci-fi romance Passengers. Directed by Morton Tildum and starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. Let's dive into the plot, themes, and the controversy surrounding this film. Passengers is set on the starship Avalon, a vessel on a 120-year journey to a distant colony planet known as Homestead 2. The story begins when a mechanical failure causes Jim Preston, played by Chris Pratt, to wake up 90 years too early. Faced with the prospect of living and dying alone on the ship, Jim wrestles with isolation and desperation. His life takes a turn when he discovers the pod of Aurora, portrayed by Jennifer Lawrence. Unable to bear the loneliness, Jim makes a controversial decision to wake her up. The two form a bond, developing a romantic relationship as they navigate their isolated existence. However, the truth about Jim's actions looms over their happiness, leading to intense moral and ethical questions. Passengers explores several themes, including loneliness, morality, and survival. Jim's decision to wake Aurora is at the heart of the film's ethical dilemma. Is it an act of love, or a selfish choice, condemning her to the same fate? The film also delves into the idea of human connection and the lengths to which people will go to avoid solitude. The luxurious but empty Avalon becomes a symbol of their isolation and the need for companionship. Visually, Passengers is stunning. The production design, special effects, and the depiction of the Avalon create an immersive experience that highlights the vastness of space and the loneliness it can bring. Despite its beautiful visuals and strong performances, Passengers faced mixed reviews. Critics and audiences were divided over the ethical implications of Jim's actions. Some viewed it as a compelling love story, while others saw it as problematic and disturbing. Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt's chemistry was praised, but many felt the script didn't fully address the gravity of the moral issues it raised. The film's marketing, which portrayed it as a more straightforward romance, also contributed to audience expectations and subsequent backlash. Overall, Passengers is a thought-provoking film that sparks discussions about morality, choice, and human nature. While it may not have resonated with everyone, it undeniably offers a unique take on the sci-fi romance genre. A malfunction in a sleeping pod on a spacecraft traveling to a distant colony planet wakes one passenger 90 years early. The spaceship, Starship Avalon, in its 120-year voyage to a distant colony planet known as the Homestead Colony and transporting 5,258 people, has a malfunction in one of its sleep chambers. As a result, one hibernation pod opens prematurely, and the one person that awakes, Jim Preston Chris Pratt, is stranded on the spaceship, still 90 years from his destination. And distant future, humans travel to other planet colonies for a better life. The journey lasts for decades, so the passengers are put in a state of hibernation. The technology is foolproof and has never failed before. On one such journey, something strange happens that will change the future of the passengers. What happens? What causes it? Will they survive during its lonely 120-year journey to the extrasolar planet Homestead 2? The state-of-the-art spaceship Avalon encounters an unusual malfunction. As a result, the calamitous anomaly wakes an unfortunate mechanic 90 years before reaching the final destination. Now, the future of 5,000 cryogenically frozen passengers is hanging by a thread. Before long, insufferable isolation, dreadful loneliness, and profound despair set in, giving voice to uncomfortable thoughts. And the question remains: will the intergalactic traveler and the doomed companions ever set foot on the promised land? The Starship Avalon from the Homestead Company is transporting over 5,000 colonists and 238 crew members to the planet Homestead 2, a journey that takes 120 years. This is being done as part of a mass exodus of Earth's population due to ecocide and the collapse of the biosphere. The colonists and the entire crew are in hibernation pods, but as the ship passes through a large asteroid field, the ship's energy shield, which is automatically directed in the direction of the asteroid barrage, is heavily strained against an oncoming stream of space debris, causing a malfunction. One of large pieces of debris penetrates the energy shield and collides with an unknown part of the ship. That awakens one passenger, mechanical engineer Jim Preston Pratt, 90 years early, his scheduled awakening time. The passengers were supposed to awaken during final approach to the planet, just 4 months before reaching their destination. After a day, Jim realizes that he is the only one awake on the whole ship, and that he woke up too soon. All of the ship's functions are governed by ID badges, and Jim's ID badge is of a low-level worker, giving him access to very few areas of the ship. Even his daily food is decided by his seniority. He cannot access the bridge as it requires special authorization. Any messages to Earth will take 19 years to reach, and earliest response is expected in 55 years. Jim is not able to go back to hibernation either. Jim finds the engineering manual for the hibernation pod and tries to fix it. He then tries to break into the bridge, but the entry door is heavily fortified. After a year of isolation, he spends time playing video games, dance-off, basketball, spending time in a luxury suite of the ship, with no company except Arthur Michael Sheen, an android bartender. Jim contemplates suicide by opening the space dock airlock without having his spacesuit on, but cannot bring himself to do it. One day he notices beautiful Aurora Lane Jennifer Lawrence in her pod. Her video profile reveals she is a writer with a humorous personality. After struggling with the morality of manually reviving Aurora for companionship, which Jim discusses with Arthur, he awakens her, claiming her pod malfunctioned like his. Aurora realizes that Jim has been awake for over a year as he explains all the things he has done to rectify his situation. Aurora, devastated, she may grow old and die before the ship reaches Homestead 2. Attempts a fruitless effort at re-entering hibernation, just as Jim had tried. Eventually, she accepts her situation and begins writing a book about her experiences. Jim and Aurora grow closer. Jim does everything with her that he used to do alone, like video games, dance-offs, basketball, dinner dates, movies, etc., becoming lovers. Jim and Aurora enjoy their time together on the ship and even take space excursions together. Aurora is a gold-class passenger and has access to many amenities and far better menu options in the cafeteria that Jim never had access to, like better coffee and the swimming pool. Aurora says that colony planets are big business, and Homestead Company made $8 quadrillion from its first colony planet. Homestead gets 20% of everything a colonist makes in their lifetime on the new planet. Over the next year, the two fall in love. Just as Jim intends to propose to Aurora, he inadvertently allows Arthur to reveal the truth to Aurora. She is distraught, alternately berating, shunning, and physically attacking Jim. All this while, the malfunctions on the ship keep growing gradually. At first, they are barely noticeable, but one day Aurora gets trapped in the water in the swimming pool due to loss of gravity, barely escaping death when gravity is restored just in time. Soon after, however, another pod failure awakens Gus Lawrence Fishburne, a chief deck officer. Using Gus personnel code, the group accesses the ship's bridge, which Jim unsuccessfully tried to breach. They discover multiple cascading failures throughout the ship's systems, but the computer does not reveal the cause. If left unattended, the ship will inevitably fail, causing the passengers and crew to perish. Gus realizes that Jim awakened Aurora when he checks all 3 pods to see why they malfunctioned. Aurora still blames Jim for stealing her life, claiming it is tantamount to murder. Gus does not condone Jim's actions, but understands and tells Aurora that a drowning man, meaning the suicidal Jim, will grab onto any lifeline. When Gus falls critically ill, the ship's automated medical suite, the autodoc, diagnoses pansystemic necrosis, progressive organ failure, and gives him hours to live. Gus attributes it to his hibernation pod's multiple failures. Before dying, Gus gives Jim and Aurora his ID badge and employee code to access crew-only areas, so he and Aurora can try to repair the ship. Jim and Aurora find hull breaches from the asteroid collision 2 years earlier. They find a hole in the ship near the fusion reactor. The computer module administering the ship's fusion reactor power plant has been critically damaged due to the asteroid strike, causing the cascading malfunctions as the other system's computing power was diverted in an attempt to maintain it. They replace the damaged module, but when the computer attempts to vent the reactor to extinguish a runaway plasma reaction, the exterior vent fails. Jim is forced to spacewalk and vent the plasma from outside, using the manual controls in the vent tube. Jim discovers that he must remain in the tube to keep the vent open, while Aurora initiates venting from inside the ship. Revealing her enduring feelings for him, she admits she is terrified of losing him and being left alone. Jim improvises a heat shield and survives the venting, but is blasted out into space. As his tether snaps, and his damaged spacesuit begins losing oxygen, Aurora retrieves a clinically dead Jim from space and resuscitates him in the autodoc. The Avalon, its reactor repaired, returns to normal operations. After burying Gus in space, Jim learns the autodoc can function as a hibernation pod for one person, and Jim insists that Aurora use it for the remainder of the voyage. Realizing she would never see Jim again, she chooses to remain awake with him. He presents her with the makeshift engagement ring he made earlier, which she accepts. 88 years later, the ship's passengers and crew awaken on schedule, shortly before arrival at Homestead 2. In the ship's grand concourse, they discover a huge tree with trailing vines, lush vegetation, flying birds, and a small cabin. A recording of Aurora's story describes the wonderful life she and Jim shared on the Avalon. Appearance that the film has gone bad, not earned enough, etc. But it does not make sense to listen to others. The best part is to find out yourself. And I have to admit that I enjoyed this movie, well, even though I understand some of the criticisms. At the same time, I know that Morten Tyldum is an incredibly good director. One of the best Norwegian directors, without a doubt. I think it's strange that he made something directly bad. The film is not a featured sci-fi movie, even if the action takes place on a spaceship. I enjoyed the movie for 3 reasons. 1, the story is unique, and something I've never seen before. It's always a good sign. 2, it's beautiful to watch. Great movie, spectacular setups and scenes. It was impressive. And 3, this movie works to switch between a love story and some action sequences. It seems like a thoughtful movie, and I appreciated the thought behind scenes and action. The few people we meet in the film give insight, and one becomes familiar with the characters. It is also a strength, but perhaps also a weakness. The gallery is limited, but anyway, I recommend this and hope to see similar movies in the future. It is good. It's not amazing or breathtaking, excuse the pun. But it really is suspenseful, and it does keep it real if you buy into the whole notion that this space mission travel thing is or will be possible in the first place. Of course, we do have some great actors involved in this, but you can imagine that there are moments in the movie where some may feel the movie could offer more. But that would not be keeping it real. Of course, there are some decisions that are questionable at best, but that's life and that's how people work sometimes. Really good character piece surrounded by science fiction, but only watch it if you like human drama mixed with it. What did you think of Passengers? Did you find Jim's actions justifiable? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie analyses and reviews. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.